For years now, you guys have been telling me to get outside and touch grass, to get outside and try some real boulders. So after years of training on crimps, slopers, top outs, falls, everything I needed was right there for my first real outdoor expedition. So I thought, what better place to go for my first outdoor bouldering excursion than New River Gorge, West Virginia. But not only was I going out here just to try outdoor bouldering for the first time, I also wanted to see how my skills at indoor climbing translated to outdoor, and to see if outdoor climbing was really as hard as people say it is. So I decided to try one of every grade, starting at V0, and try to go as high as I could. So for the first boulder, we decided to kill two birds with one stone. Not only were we getting our V0 out of the way, but it was also a high ball boulder. So it was kind of a quick introduction to climbing up high outside and topping out. Now I know some of you are watching this like, wait a minute, where are the holds, right? You know, we're looking at this video of you doing a boulder. I don't see any colored holds. That was a surprise to me as well. Apparently when you climb outside on boulders, the holds are not colored. Now, even though this was a V0, it was still really scary being up that high, and even topping out. The top out was super easy, but it didn't stop me from being shooken up a little bit. Thankfully, I decided to grow a pair of high balls, and I just went for it anyway. That's my first high ball. That's still pretty scary. It was super easy though. How do I get down? So after we warmed up a bit with some high balling, it was time for some low balling. So we moved on to our V1 boulder, low balling. As far as V1s go, that was kind of tough.
Maybe you're just weak. I'm just not strong.
Now that I was officially a baller, it was time to move on to V2. For our V2, we chose Juggernaut, which is slightly left of Slitty Titty Traverse V4. Yes, you heard me correct. There is a boulder called Slitty Titty Traverse. So Juggernaut was pretty chill. It was graded V2. It felt like a V2. Top out wasn't too bad, and it had probably my favorite down climb out of any of the boulders I had tried so far. Now I had flashed every boulder at this point, but I hadn't on-sighted anything because Jack had been climbing everything before me to give me a feel for the beta.
Going barefoot, high ball, trad to the bone.
And I knew V3 was probably my last chance at on-sighting anything before they got too hard. So Jack stepped aside and I gave my on-sight attempt on one of the most classic boulders in New River Gorge, Helium V3. So far, everything was going great. All the boulders felt like their gym grades, honestly. Like Helium V3 felt like if it was set in a gym, it would be a V3. Like I wasn't really getting the whole outdoor being harder than indoor thing. That was until we moved up to V4. I don't know if this is consistent everywhere, but at least in New River Gorge, it definitely felt like there was a pretty big leap from V3 to V4. It's like somebody saying, oh, I really like Hello Kitty, but I want something a little more grown up. And then somebody's like, oh, you should try Game of Thrones. Pretty big gap between the two of those. So we decided to put our time and effort into V9's boulder, which is a boulder that has no V9s on it. I have no idea how that happened. But the most classic problem on V9's boulder is called V9s, and it's a V4. So after Jack and I gave V9s a couple of tries, I realized I was ready to send the whole thing. And everything was feeling pretty good. I had already worked out the beta, I knew everything I wanted to do. But then I made one fatal mistake. You see, the left side of V9s is a V6 boulder problem, and the right side is a V4 boulder problem, the problem I was supposed to be doing. I did the V4 boulder problem all the way up until the top out, and for some reason, I decided to do the V6 top out instead of the V4 top out. This is where my inexperience as an outdoor climber really bit me in the ass because there was such an easy top out just to my right side. But thankfully, I was stubborn enough to just crank out the top out move of the V6 and finally send V9's V4. Now it was time to move on to a V5, and Jack decided that there was no better V5 for me to do than one of the all-time classics of New River Gorge, Sunshine Arete. Unfortunately, just like I was highballing V0 and lowballing V1, V5, I was no-balling. Something about the top out section of this boulder just scared the shit out of me. It wasn't even particularly scary or anything. I just couldn't do it. But thankfully, Jack was able to send it, so I'll show you his ascent instead.
It's like no beta either.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't even know what state it is.
Nice. That's what's wrong there. Knees left. Bam. There you go. Oh, shit.
Fuck yeah.
Woo!
Let's go.
Now I was pretty disappointed that I didn't send a V5, but I was hoping that I could make up for it by just skipping V5 and going straight into V6. And this is where my second favorite boulder of the trip comes in. Slopers Malone V6. I was feeling really pumped at this point. Good pumped, not bad pumped. Like I was pumped up, I was ready for this boulder. But the thing is, Slopers Malone takes a lot of style and grace. This is a very elegant boulder, but I'm a dynoist. I don't climb with style and grace. So I just muscled my way across this thing.
I can't.
After the first go, Jack gave me some better beta so I wouldn't be in so much pain next time, because according to him, my ankle shouldn't look like this after one attempt. There are only two things I hate in bouldering: heel hooks and boulders I can't flash. But there was just something about this boulder that I fell in love with. Slopers Malone was definitely one of my favorite boulders I did on this trip. It just had such a good feel to it. The grade felt really solid. It felt like a really solid V6, and everything about it just seemed really intuitive. Unfortunately, it is a really pumpy boulder, so after a few attempts, I was really struggling to make it to the end section. So Jack and I took a 20-minute break, goofed around a little bit, and I headed back in for my final attempt at Slopers Malone.
That's a good layer of chalk.
good, Brandon. So good. Come on. Yep. Yes. Good one's just a little farther left. Yeah, come on, Brandon. Come on, dude. Nice and easy. Stay tight. Trust the foot. Nice and slow. Rock up on it.
Just too gassed. That felt good though.
See if you can do it while you're kind of pumped. It's how it's going to feel from the beginning, right?
Fair.
Yeah, get the foot good. There it is. There it is. Yep, nice and slow. Yes, dude. Yes.
Yeah, 2-segment V6, it's not too bad.
So I got Slopers Malone in 2 segments, which, you know, for the purpose of this video, or for my overall climbing career, doesn't really mean anything. But if you think I'm not gonna walk around the gym telling everybody that I sent Slopers Malone, you don't know rock climbing very well. Now it's time for the final boulder of this trip, and it is, without a doubt, the best boulder. So if you made it this far into the video, you're in for a real treat. You know, I feel bad for all those people that clicked out early because this is where things really get juicy. The final boulder of this trip was 1-2 Punch V7. Now what makes 1-2 Punch so incredible isn't just the boulder itself, but the location of the boulder. 1-2 Punch is prime beachfront property. It's like 10 feet away from the river itself. The entire ground below the boulder is just like soft sand, so even when you fall on your mat, the sand adds like an extra cushion underneath the mat. And if you haven't been outside before, a lot of boulders, you're putting your mat on top of like jagged rocks, so your mats aren't flat, they're all bubbly and warped. So this is a boulder that you can project safely while also sitting and chilling on the beach. Now the disappointment I felt about not sending Slopers Malone pales in comparison to the disappointment I felt about me and Jack using the wrong beta on 1-2 Punch the entire night. What makes 1-2 Punch so special as a boulder is the giant left-handed throw that leads to cool pictures like these. But I had come to this boulder thinking it was a dyno. I wanted at least one dyno in this video. So Jack and I decided to do a right-handed throw from a set of lower holds to give it more of a dyno feel. And that was not the best decision.
Come on, let's go. Come on, get it. Go. Yeah. Good ball. Good ball.
So after a few falls and fails attempting to do the boulder this way, I decided to just go back and try the regular beta, which ended up being significantly easier, but I was just way too pumped at this point to send the whole thing. But thankfully, Jack had one really good attempt using the old beta, where he made it all the way to the top of the boulder.
No, that's good. That's good. Okay. Perfect. Come on. There you go.
Now, if you thought I was bummed about not sending this boulder, Jack was really bummed. So in the end, I only sent up to V4. But I learned a lot in the process. I learned that the biggest difference between indoor and outdoor bouldering is topping out. Topping out a boulder when you have no experience can make even a V2 feel like a V6. And I personally think that's a big reason why people find outdoor so much harder than indoor. The way that you approach beta in indoor and outdoor is also significantly different. When it comes to outdoor bouldering, a lot of the beta really is just up to you, because if you're taller or shorter, you're just just gonna end up using different feet and sometimes even different hands for moves. You don't really see this as much with indoor bouldering since, sometimes there's only one foothold you can use. But with outdoor bouldering, sometimes the beta will be to use this foot, but if you're 6'5" like Jack, he's gonna use a foot down lower because it feels better for him. Being able to read boulders outside and find your own beta for them, I think is like one of the biggest differences between indoor and outdoor. But I had a really good time overall. It was a great trip. Thank you guys in the comments for forcing me to go out and try outdoor bouldering because I probably wouldn't have really even tried it had people not been pressuring me to. And it was fantastic. Hopefully I'll go out again and maybe get V5 through V7.